Hello and welcome. This is Darius, Barazandeh, host of the U.S. Revolution. And if you're about to watch this amazing session that we did, then you're part of a group of humans on this planet who are ascending and moving into a higher frequency. You're not here by accident, and I'd like to offer you a special gift that will help you to adjust to some of these frequencies, plug in even deeper, and it's an energy activation MP3 that will double the power of your energy field in less than 57 seconds. It's absolutely free, and it's the first link in the description down below, but it's also going to let you get to hear calls like this one live and get daily help from healers, teachers, and masters all over the world. It's absolutely free, and it's part of what we're doing every day at U-Wealth Revolution. So if you feel called in your heart, you can click the link down below, and the special session that you wanted to watch and experience will start right now.
Dr. Dain Heer is someone who's no stranger to the U-Wealth Revolution, and today he has some very new work and some new energy practices he's going to be bringing to the table, and he travels all around the world, changing lives. I mean, people that have had what seems to be seeming calamity, seeming disaster, their lives shifted through his world-changing facilitation of advanced classes in Access Consciousness. And Access has been one of the most popular modalities here at the U.S. Revolution, shifting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives, even thousands here. And he's inspired all of us to hold a bigger consciousness for total allowance, for total caring, for total knowing. And he also has created some very unique energy processes for change of individuals and groups. And we had one lady, Bessie, who wrote us last time. She's 80 years old. She said, does it matter if I've been, ever since I was a kid, always down and depressed and upset? And we said no. And literally, she unlocked something magical. And I remember getting the email where she said, for the first time, I feel alive. I feel like I am living. I understand who I am and what this life essence really is. Dr. Dain has a completely different approach to change. You're going to hear about it. You're going to experience it. He taps you in to your own abilities and your own knowing. And many of you have asked, is this possible to transform this fast? Yes, it is. It's truly possible. It's truly dynamic. And the transformation can change not only your awareness, your consciousness, how you see the world, it can change your body. And Dr. Dain is a doctor of chiropractic who also understands the connection between the body, the energy systems, the emotional systems, and even the higher energy intuitive systems. And he's going to share all of that, including embodiment, healing, money, relationships, and, he is all about being totally you, and with that, changing the world. So let's do this. Let's send just a huge amount of love and appreciation for Dr. Dain here on the count of three. 1, 2, and 3. Dr. Dain, welcome back to the U-Wealth Revolution Ascension 2012.
I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
This is amazing. I want to just let you take off, but I've got to ask this question. For people that are here and they're hearing about 2012 and things are going to get better and things are going to shift, there's going to be this new awareness, and they're not feeling it, and maybe they're wondering, can I really create a paradise for me, myself, right now in this time? What's your answer to them?
My answer is heck yeah, now more than ever. And, especially for the people that aren't feeling it or are feeling the exact opposite and thinking, my God, things are getting worse, things are getting more contracted. This is for you, okay? Because all of that stuff is actually something that is a capacity you have that when you start looking at it the right way and sort of undoing the way you've been looking at it, reframing it or deframing it, as it were, and actually being able to see what's really there, you start to realize, oh my God, I'm actually way more aware than I thought I was. So give people as many tools as possible during the time we have together today to actually make that shift too. Because there are lots of people who are aware, wow, you know what, things are changing and they're getting more dynamic. And there are lots of people going, ah,
Right.
So let's give tools to both of those groups that allow them to really start to get a sense of who they really be. And I know that, being is this concept that is bandied about in the world, but most people have no clue. They're like, yeah, I wake up in the morning, I'm conscious, my eyes are open. It's like, yeah, and anytime there's a heaviness, anytime there's a twisting of something, there is a different choice available. So let's start exploring those instead.
Can you kind of feel out the energy of the group and kind of peer out? I mean, I want to make these calls as personal as possible. We have Sue, we have Deborah, we have Lee, we have Ann, we have Vetter, we have Renee, we have, I mean, hundreds of people. Is there a prevailing energy that you're feeling from this group, or prevailing energy that you're seeing among conscious seekers at this time in our evolution?
Well, I would say it's almost like the Loch Ness Monster. In other words,
okay,
a really potent being who has amazing capacities, and they're just below the surface, and very few people get to see it. So it's like what I'd like to, speak to people about and invite them to, as we talk today, is what potency and capacity do you have that you're not acknowledging? And what potency and what capacity do you have that, if you acknowledged it, would take you out of the trauma and drama you're currently experiencing and let you start creating your life?
Wow.
Because one of the things is that for a lot of the people that are feeling like they're going even crazier, is that yours, or is that your awareness of all kinds of other people going through that themselves? And have you your entire life tried to make people feel better, tried to make them feel more comfortable, tried to heal them of their unhappiness? And what if now's the time for you to actually allow you to heal yourself of yours by letting go of everything that you bought that isn't yours, that you picked up your whole life from other people, and actually starting to have a space of being that invites other people to know that that's possible?
What I'm kind of hearing is that where people are having this frustration, it's almost like they're pulling in other people's energy, or other people are pushing the energy into their field. It's not theirs. And when they find their true self, their true energetic source, all of that stuff just dissipates. I think that's sort of like why a lot of these transformations happen so quickly. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say it's, a huge aspect of it, because 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions aren't actually yours. They're things you're picking up from the people around you, just that nobody ever told you that. If you were to ask, who does this belong to the thoughts,
right,
the feelings, and the emotions, what would happen in a very short amount of time? Like if you were to do that for every thought, feeling, emotion, judgment, or heaviness you had for 3 days, who does this belong to? If it lightens up at all, it's not yours. Return it to sender. At the end of 3 days, you'd walk around like you're in a walking, talking meditation. There would be no thoughts in your head. And what's happening right now is people's capacities are actually increasing. They're not decreasing. So if you're one of those people who's been going, things are getting worse and I'm seeing more heaviness and feeling more heaviness, what if it's because your capacity to perceive is increasing? And what if this is actually the fuel you need to move forward? You were telling your story earlier, which was so cool because, I know a lot of people don't know that about you or haven't known that about you. And when they realize, wait a minute, just 3 short years ago, this guy was like, what? In this place? Really? And it's like, yeah. And, what an amazing story of transformation, but that's the transformation that's possible. And what if that were possible for all of us? What if it just took maybe some encouragement, maybe some inspiration, maybe a kick in the pants, to get you moving in the right direction, and maybe a lot of tools to actually make that happen too?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the tools, because what are, some of the tools and examples that we could use to get started? Because this is people hear it's possible. They see people living a better life. They want this, but yet 98% of the people, because they don't have the tools, they stay in the same place year after year.
Yeah, exactly. And so let me give you a real simple tool. It's going to sound like old English, but what you want to do is to those voices in your head that tell you can't, to the energies even that come up where you feel separate from possibilities or separate from other people, or when anger comes up as an example and you're not sure why, but it makes you separate from people that you care about. You want to say, return to from whence you came, never to return to me or this reality. I'll say that.
I've never heard you. I've never heard you say it to whence you came and never return. So literally, what we're doing is sending that energy out of our field. Then.
Yep, you're sending it out of your field. You're sending it out of this reality. You're sending it back to where it came from, back to where it got the job of limiting you, and going, you know what? Never to return to me or this reality. Like, thanks,
Whoa.
but I'm making a different choice now. And I think, and I'll do this a few more times, but I want to say this one sentence first, which is,
Okay.
I think a lot of the reason a lot of people lately, like let's say in the last few months, their level of frustration or resignation or insanity, if you will, they would call it that, I'm going insane. I think the reason that's increased is because these energies are literally asking, please let us go. Return us to where we came from. We don't want to be here any more than you want us here. And so it's literally time to change this. So you go, return to from whence you came, never to return to me or this reality. Return to, and I'll say it as us because there's a bunch of us on the line. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality. So my question would be, do you and other people on the line feel lighter after that?
I was going to tell you, after about the third one, I started feeling really, really light, and it's almost like I want to say like I just tapped into like a whole other information source because I was thinking about some things I wanted to do, and I felt this limitation, and then just realizing that's not mine is huge. And I want to hear what people felt on that, and we're going to be doing a lot of experiential stuff. So keep sending in what you're feeling. Now, when we continue with this and let go more of this, I mean, you have as the topic of this paradise, that we can create our paradise. What would that look like for you? What does paradise look like for you, or maybe for most people? And how does that come together for people?
Well, I think that's a great question because I named it that because I knew people would be like, what is that? But what I wanted to talk about was, we talk about ascension as though it's going someplace else or somehow ascending to someplace that doesn't exist here. And my point of view is ascension is us actually ascending into the being that we are and creating something different here and actually having the tools to do it. So for me, it's waking up rather than having an elephant on your head, waking up actually having a sense of space, a sense of ease, a sense of joy, and a sense of possibility where you have an awareness that even if things seem heavy right now, that you have the capacity to get through it, and the awareness that every heaviness you've ever experienced has always led to more. And so it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like being a little kid in the world again, but not a little kid as in I'm not going to be responsible and I'm just going to eat ice cream, but that childlike wonder that you can have. How there's certain days where you'll walk by the flowers and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, those are so beautiful. Or you'll have a friend call you and say, I just wanted to say thank you for what you said to me the other day. I was having such a bad day and it changed everything. And you're brought to tears by the gratitude you have. What if those are not just situations or experiences that you have once in a blue moon? What if those are actually the situations that were more a staple in your life? What if they were more the rule than the exception? To me, is part of creating this world as paradise. And one of the things I've realized is that what we've done is we haven't really allowed this place to become home. Those of us that want something different, that see the possibility for creating greater reality or a greater life, we haven't really been able or willing to see this place as home. It's almost like we go, well, yeah, but if I see it as home and if I really love it, then I'll be trapped there forever. And I don't think I really like it there enough, so I may want to get out, so I'm going to be really dissatisfied. It's like, what if you allow this to become your home? What kind of paradise would that allow us to create, rather than acting like we would rather get off the planet?
Wow. I mean, that is a very fundamental question that I think shifts a lot of things and kind of like collapses a lot of my past experience as I start to think about it. Now, Dain, you talked about kind of this heaviness. There was a point, I know there's a lot of new people on the line that maybe haven't heard your entire story, or it's been a while. I guess as we have so much to cover, I do want to talk, though, about your period of heaviness and how that moved you out into this new period. Take us back to that moment when you weren't connecting to your pure essence like you are now. And for all of you here that are wondering what's possible for you, I want you to see whatever similarity in your life you can when you listen to Dain and his story of what his life was like before he uncovered some of these tools.
So it was, almost 13 years ago now. I was living in Santa Barbara, the apparent paradise of the Western Coast, and I was starting my second chiropractic practice and had a beautiful girlfriend. And I literally had people say, "Oh, you've got such the perfect life. You're so lucky." But I was literally dying inside. And what it was I had tried so many things to make my life work. I tried so many techniques, and I always had self-help books and books on how to create business better and how to do your life better and all this sort of stuff. It's like I was reading 5 at a time, and I would go to these seminars, and I'd be like, yes, this is the one. This will change it. And by Wednesday, I was back to being as unhappy as I had been before the seminar. And I was so frustrated, and I got so frustrated because I thought I would truly never have the life that I wanted. I thought I was never going to be able to make it happen because I had tried everything I knew. And I said, universe, you got 6 months. It's like either my life changes or I'm killing myself, and I really don't care which it is. And I thought I would be killing myself. And I came across an ad for Access Consciousness that said, Access, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And rather than being overjoyed, I wanted to kill the person that put the ad in the paper. So, I threw the ad away. Like, something designed to invite you to possibilities. I'm like, die, And so I saw the ad the following week, and it said it again, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And I called the girl and asked what she did, and, she says, all kinds of stuff designed to change your life. I'm like, yeah, well, I've heard that before. She said, well, let me do this thing called the bars on you. And it's these 32 points on the head. And so I had her come over, do a session. She puts her hands on my head, and I start giggling like a little kid. An hour and 15 minutes later, it was the first sense of peace I'd had in almost 3 years. And the first time I remember knowing everything was okay, everything always had been, and everything always would be. But the thing about it was, what it did was it gave me a sense of space. And I think one of the most essential things to get in this idea of actually creating this place as our home, creating this place as our home paradise, is actually that you have to have the space of being. And what's that like? It's like when you go out in nature and the weight of the world comes off of your shoulders. That's what this process gave me in a way that I'd never been able to have or maintain before. And what happened was I did a session every week. And after the first session, the girl said, oh, we have verbal processing too. And I'm like, what's that? She said, oh, it's cool. It's a way to change anything you want to change specifically. The bars does general and this does specific. And I went, oh my God, this is awesome. And what happened was the sense of space that I had increased with every single session we had. And in contrast to everything else I'd done, it never decreased. That's why I'm doing this stuff, because it continually expands and continually increases. It doesn't get boring. And it literally creates that place, seen with the people that do it, it creates a place where they feel less separate from others, where they feel more connected, where they feel more aware of the possibilities they have available and can create. And that's the world I'd like to live in.
Wow. It's an incredible story, and I think that it really shows what's possible with the tools. And I hear that, and it's almost impossible for me to imagine you being in that space. But actually, on the flip side of it, it's like that frustration I think you had was so much that part of you that we see now wanting to get out and it being so strong. You said, look, if I can't get out and be me, then I'm just not going to play in this reality anymore. It's almost, in that sense, it's like, oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and that's the thing that it's like I see it in you, when you told your story. It's like, man, that's the Darius I know. I mean, the guy who was like, okay, I just kind of lost everything. Universe, I'm not giving up. Now you better make my life better. So and cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, there were times, obviously, I'll just say for everybody, like with you, Dan, I mean, there were times when you just really, this sucked. I mean, you're not totally positive all the time, but there's those moments when you can tap into that bigger energetic shift and you realize, like, okay, there is something much bigger for me here. That's why all this stuff is leaving. I want to do this. I want to talk about some of the tools, and then I want to get into some clearings, and I want to kind of go through some of the top points of what will create a paradise and help clear people on the call to move them through that. For people that aren't aware of Access, who maybe are new, can we do a quick, maybe like 1 or 2-minute run through and then start doing some work and really getting some people moving here.
Yes, please. It's a quick 1 minute.
Yes, please.
I'm like, that's the fun part, creating the change.
Exactly.
The quick 1 minute run through is Access is basically a set of tools, techniques, information, and ways of looking at the world to change anything you want to change. And it's based, it's called Access Consciousness because it's about accessing your consciousness, because the only time you ever create a difficulty is when you function from unconsciousness or when you go against your consciousness. And the thing is, a lot of the people that have been talking spirituality for many years are now saying the same exact words, but they're using consciousness. They don't actually have a definition of what consciousness is. And from the Access Consciousness point of view, consciousness is where everything exists and nothing is judged. So it's like, imagine if every part of you, every choice you've ever made could exist without judgment of it. Imagine if you could wake up tomorrow and live in a world beyond judgment of you or anyone or anything else. And imagine if your life didn't work out worse because of it. Imagine it worked out better. That's what the invitation is, and that's what the possibility is.
Wow. Well, I want to feel kind of where people are at. I mean, there is a lot of judgment here. Can we begin to sort of loosen some of the challenges that people are having, or maybe what you're perceiving that really blocks people from living in that paradise on earth?
Absolutely. So one thing that I will be doing is I'll be asking questions, and then I'll be doing something called a clearing statement. And the clearing statement is basically, it's like I'll ask a question to bring up something, an energy that's been sticking you or something you haven't been able to change. And then I'll ask, will you destroy that? In other words, will you undo it at its very foundation? And will you uncreate it? In other words, wherever you put your creative energy into something that's not working for you, can we now uncreate that, please? And if you're willing, I'll run this clearing statement, and it'll sound like a bunch of weird words, but you can also do a short form of it, or you can just say all that weird stuff Dain said, and it will still work for you. So I just want to lay the groundwork in that sense, because a lot of what we can change with Access is about undoing the limitations of the past, which actually automatically open up more space for something different to be here in the present and in the future. So I'm happy to go anywhere you want to go as far as give me a subject, or we can start with whatever you want, my friend.
Well, I think one of the things that you talk about going beyond ascension. And, ascension is almost like this idea that we ascend into some other place. And maybe the idea is that we're already there. We already are there, and it's already right in front of us. There's nowhere else to go. As we kind of look at that possibility, what blocks people from that, first in your experience? And maybe we can start sort of cracking that shell through some clearing statements.
That would be great. So one of the first things, one of the latest things that come out in Access is one of the things that I've realized is that we defend against, or we defend for, with almost every choice we make. And I know that can sound weird, and you're like, what do you mean defend for, defend against? Well, like, for example, let's say your parents told you that it was right to be poor because rich people weren't happy. Well, if you're having financial problems right now, and that was your situation, you're defending your parents' point of view with your life. You're saying, you know what, Mom and Dad, I'm going to say your point of view is right by creating my life exactly the way you told me it should be. I'm not going to have any money. And it's this sort of amazing thing that we do to ourselves that is one of the most destructive things we do in order to create this defense system around us. And what happens for most of us is it's kind of like we're sitting in a castle, and we've got the moat and the wall around us, and we're just waiting to be attacked. Well, if you could come out of defense of anything, you would have totally different possibilities available. Let me give you a really quick example. I just had a conversation with somebody who wants to publish my book in a different language, and in my book, Being You Changing the World. And in the book, I talk about the fact that I experienced some horrendous forms of abuse, and that I realized that in at least one of those situations, it was to change someone else's life. Well, that was so taboo for the people who want to publish it. They're like, you need to take this out. And I called them and I said, if I need to take this out, we are not having our contract anymore. That's not going to work for me. I've gotten thousands of emails from people. I've got hundreds of emails about this particular chapter, thousands about the book, about how this has freed people and changed their lives. And so in not having to defend that they were right, in not having to defend that I was wrong, I could see what was actually true for me in a totally different way. And so that's so as we can come out of the defense of anything, what happens is we start to have a space to be. So I know that probably just fried a lot of people's brains. So if you're out there in the world spacing out right now, and you're like, is he speaking English? That was sort of the preamble to this defense conversation. So just notice if you get space here as I run this process, because what I was doing in talking about that was just tapping into those places where you've defended other people's insanity. How much of your life has been about defending other people's insanity and trying to pretend it's right when you know it's not, when you know there's another choice? Because what happened for a lot of us is we'll be talking to people and they'll be saying something that we know is not right, that we know is insane, that we know is just weird or crazy or something, and yet we won't speak up. Even in our own heads, we won't speak up. We sit there and then we go away heavy and wonder why. And most of us are living most of our lives that way. So, in an effort to start changing that, and I know that was a bit of a deep subject, but hopefully let's lighten it up a little bit here. But when you asked, let's do this, I wanted to go to the deepest thing possible because, that's where your listeners are. They're not, they're not sort of at the patty cake stage that some people are in the world. They're like, dude, I'm listening. I want to go deep, so let's do this, okay? So who or what are you defending for or against that if you didn't defend it would allow you to have and be all of you? Everything that is, times a gazillion, will you destroy and create it, please?
And I will say yes for the group, and take that on if it feels right. Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, for what? How's that one feeling, my friend?
Yeah, it's again. I mean, it's almost like I'm feeling a lot of things sort of clear and people clear in that, like, we're defending certain things to be something that we think we are, and it's actually keeping us from what we've always been. And I just want everyone to really think about that one. This is pretty amazing. Alina said, this tool has been great for me, especially in the last few weeks. I wasn't aware of the pain that I felt through my entire body, and using this tool with Dain, it dissipated. She has a question, and I want to get some questions to Elena, so hold tight. Dain, from that place, I mean, for people dealing with like a financial challenge right now, we have a lot of people writing in saying, my finances 2012 have been awful. I mean, is it the same type of thing holding them back there, or is there another energetic vibe that's keeping people stuck financially?
Yeah, I'd say there's two things. And so if you can think really fast and write really fast, you can write down the stuff that I'm saying, the processes and run it, or listen to the replay and write down the processes and run it, or just listen to it. But there's two things with the finances. One is defending. So you could ask this question: who or what am I defending with the financial disaster I am creating? Or it may not be a disaster for you, it might be a dis-ease that you're creating, depending on what level of severity you're experiencing. Who or what am I defending with the financial disaster or disease I am creating? Everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it, please.
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Ow. Okay, so that's apparently a big one with people too. So who or what are you defending for or against that if you didn't defend for or against it would allow you to have and be all of you and create all the money you'd like to? Everything that doesn't allow that, everything that is, times a gazillion, will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And then one other thing that you want to have in relationship to any upset you have, including creating a limited financial situation, is there are these things called inventions. And what is that? Well, in order to be poor, as an infinite being, you would have infinite capacity, you'd have infinite abilities, you'd have infinite money, you'd have anything you asked for would come infinitely. And so what happens is you have to invent that you're not in order to create a problem and a difficulty in any area. So what invention are you using to create the monetary problem you are choosing? That is times a godzillion. Will you just run and create it, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So
my head is kind of buzzing here, but so invention is like, it's like we've created this like a story or like a reality that is sort of our own perception.
Yeah, it's just like you said, you've created a reality that's your own limitation, basically. And you think it's based on your perception, you think it's based on your awareness, but it's not. It's something you created, and then you create your life to follow your invention. So you invent, let's say you invent that you're like your parents. A lot of people create their bodies like their parents. A lot of people create their finances like their parents. Let's say you invent that you are from here, that you're part of this reality and don't have any other choice. Well, then when something like a global financial crisis occurs, you have to invent that you have as much financial problem as everybody else. What if you didn't have to anymore? And I know that can sound weird for people because they're like, yeah, but I live on the planet, so I'm, yeah, but you wouldn't be listening to this show right now. You wouldn't be listening to this program. You wouldn't be listening to Darius. You wouldn't be listening to me if you didn't know there was something greater. So what if it's actually about tapping into that thing that's the greater thing that's available that you already are? That's why I said welcome to paradise beyond ascension. Let's create it here rather than thinking that, oh, once I leave my body and once I go to some other planet, everything will work. You've had those dreams for a long, long time. How well has it worked? What if it's time to create paradise here on Earth right now by having all the money you desire, by having the great relationships you desire, by having all the stuff but not being owned by any of it, just getting to enjoy it?
Wow. And I've got this feeling like what keeps people, what I'm hearing from a lot of people is judgment. I've got someone writing in, Sheila, she says, I am constantly judging myself and keeping new ideas from developing because I don't think that my ideas are good enough. Is that self-judgment sort of like this, an angering weight in keeping us like stuck in this reality?
Yes, absolutely. And so what you want to do is you want to go, okay, so what am I, who or what am I defending with this judgment that is never ending? Everything that is, will you just run and create it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And the other one is, what invention am I using? So there's basically two processes that can have a real dynamic effect, and they're really simple to use. Who or what am I defending with this thing that I'm holding in place? And also, what invention am I using to create the judgment I am choosing in this example? So it's like if you didn't have to invent judgment anymore, because would an infinite being truly judge?
I would say no. And I would say, Wendy, who you're writing in about financial challenges right now, I would say no. And Mike, I would say no. And Candy, I would say no. And everyone else, Mary, I would say no, no, no.
Exactly. The answer is hell no. Infinite being wouldn't judge, but we've made that so much a part of our lives. How much of that is an invention? How much of it is defending this reality? But also, how much of it is actually unlockable now with just the awareness that, wait a minute, this is what everybody else is doing. I don't have to do what everybody else is doing anymore. There are a lot of people out there who are going, hey, you know what, just feel good and everything will be good, and just feel good and feel this energy and it'll be better. And it's like, I'm sorry, we've had that stuff for thousands of years and we have the world we have. We need something different. We need something that will actually go to the place where it changes what hasn't been working and create something different, and the tools to actually function in this reality. And I'm not knocking anything. That's not my purpose in saying that. My purpose in saying that is that it's time for something different. Let's realize that we are the gift that this world has been asking for. That's why we're here. We're not the pathetic red-headed stepchildren of this reality that we keep pretending to be. We are the change the world has been asking for. We just have to be willing to step up and be it, whatever it looks like and whatever it takes. So everything that doesn't allow that times a gazillion, we destroy and create it, please.
Yes.
Wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
You know, when you talk about this idea of just being and our beingness and being what we've always been, connecting to this energy, what's one of the biggest things that keeps people from really tapping into that?
Well, I'd say it's what they've learned to defend, what they've invented, and what they've been trained to in this reality. Because the difficulty is there are precious few role models for what it's actually like to be, and few people who've shown us what the possibilities are. You know, it's one of the reasons I think, you know, stories of people who've gone from tragedy to triumph are just so friggin' cool and so popular on some level, because people know that's the way it should be. So every one of you out there who knows that's the way it should be for you too, who hasn't been able to create it, who hasn't known how, will you destroy and uncreate everything that doesn't allow it to start showing up for you, please?
Say yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because there's... And the other thing, let's do this one more time. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Return her from whence you came, never to return to us of this reality. Now what's space possible?
We got Paula, she just wrote in, she said this is such a huge step in dismantling the old infrastructures that we've all agreed to abide by. This is what's been holding me back from doing something new and being abundant. I appreciate all of this. It's incredible. I want to hear what people are feeling right now as I'm starting to get that buzzed head feeling, which means I know that some belief systems, some energies now are just leaving, and it's like there's so much new coming in that I start kind of getting goofy, so hold tight. Send in kind of what's going on with all of you. Mary's just got a question, Dain, and this really ties into the idea of judgment and creating paradise on earth and financially. She says, Dain, how do I use clearings to remove the long-term blocks way back from my parents and generations of feeling unworthy?
Awesome question. Okay, so please know that's what each of these clearing statements that I've given during this one has been. And every single time you run one of these clearing statements, it's right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock. POC is the point of creation of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions immediately preceding your decision to lock that limitation in place, whether it was last week or 100 billion years ago. And it doesn't matter. So you're actually clearing the stuff that is the old belief from family and everything else every time you run that clearing statement. And the thing is, you've been creating limitation for a very, very, very long time. So it takes running some of these things that are deeply entrenched quite a few times, you know, and so if you'll do that, though, you'll start to notice that you'll have different choices available. What you'll notice after this call, for example, is, you know, you may notice energy during the call, you may notice space, you may notice spacing out, and afterwards you'll notice you'll be in a situation where it used to contract you and you used to feel small and limited, and all of a sudden you don't anymore. You'll be in this situation where you're like, wow, that would have triggered me before, but it's not triggering me anymore. And that's how you'll know about the change that is occurring. But one more specific answer to your question. Let's do this for everybody on the call. So what percentage of who, what, where, when, why, and how you are, and who, what, where, when, why, and how you are not, did you buy from your mother and your father before the age of 2? Wow. Everything that is, times a gazillion. Destroy and uncreate it and return it to sender, please. Wow. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow.
Oh my, that is rather dynamic. Okay, there's a little bit of shift going on here, kids. How does it get any better than this?
One of the things that I see coming in for a lot of people is, like, so many people here, and when we talk about paradise, this has really brought it up, they're seeing a lot of, like, things that they're perceiving as injustices or challenges in the world, and they're taking it on as truth that what they want's not possible. Like Yasmin from New Zealand said, how do you handle it when you witness, like, abusive children or abusive animals or tragedies in your environment? And this is a great question because we're seeing, like, huge upheavals in the world, financially, economically, environmentally, and how do you keep that knowingness or that joy in the midst of all of that?
Well, one of the ways is by realizing that that knowing and that joy are the antidotes to this being able to happen in the world. And look and realize that the fact that we live in a world where that abuse can occur is, the fact that it occurs is a wrongness. In other words, and when I say a wrongness, I don't mean from a judging point of view, but it's a wrongness against being and against consciousness and against the very beings that we are. And if you can ask yourself, there's a few tools you have, okay, because here's one thing. If you align and agree that it's a bad thing, you make it more solid and less able to change. And usually what happens is you align and agree that it's a bad thing, and then you do the other side, which is you resist and react or try to fight it to end it, but that doesn't work either. And whether you're aligning and agreeing, that's the positive polarity. Resisting and reacting is the negative polarity. There's this other choice you have where you go, okay, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And so let's do this, and I'll also address more of the specific of that situation in just a moment, but let's take an upset that you've had sometime in the last week or two that is still there, and just get the energy of it, because this is a tool for shifting those sorts of things.
Okay, so everyone do that. Find something. Everyone's still writing us. Okay, guys, we've got, like, close to 100 questions. Okay, don't write anything right now. And Dain, tell us again, find something in your memory that happened the last, say it again.
Yeah. Apparently we're spacing out. How does it get any better than that? So, just get an upset that occurred for you in the last, 10 days or so, week or 10 days, whenever. And just get the energy of that upset, whether it was an argument with a coworker, or you looked at a bill, or, you have impending doom financial, whatever it is. And just get the energy of it. And now just say to that energy and about the energy to yourself, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Cool. Now one more time. Notice for a lot of you, the energy is starting to shift, even if just subtly right now. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And again, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And again, as the energy shifts, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And don't try to hold the energy in place so you can say this stuff about it or to it. Just let it shift as it does, because this thing is designed to shift energy. And once again, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And interesting point of view, I have this point of view. So Darius, did you have an upset, or... So I'm wondering how it worked, how it feels different for you and everybody else listening.
I had a situation which kind of would, like, antagonize me a little more than I would have expected, and I sort of took it, at first I thought, well, yeah, I'm right about this because anybody would be upset about it, and then now I'm sort of, like, seeing really that energy wasn't mine all along, and it's shifted, it's loosened it up, it's let it just totally, like, dissolve. So that's kind of what happened on my end. It's very, very interesting, and I'm feeling just a lot more kind of like my hands are kind of tingly. I have, like, tinglies in my fingers and stuff, and I don't know if that's coming from all of this, but it definitely, things feel a lot lighter in that area.
Cool, and that's what it's for. That's one tool you can use at any time. But what you have to realize is
Well, I'm sorry. Lisa just wrote in. I'm sorry, Dain. I'm getting goofy. It's been a while since we've done a session, so I forget how this energy starts like taking over. It's kind of subtle. That's what Lisa says. She's like, in the beginning, I wasn't feeling anything. Now as the call progressed, I'm feeling giddier, and I'm all tingly everywhere. This is fantastic. It keeps increasing, and I feel elated. I don't want it to stop. This is what happens, guys. It's
Awesome. That's great. That is so cool. And that's, I was going to say that at the beginning. I was going to say, I know a lot of you may feel like, well, this doesn't feel like, I was going to say, just wait. But I figured, we'll see if somebody else notices. Okay, cool. Because what I'm doing while I'm talking is actually tapping into everybody who's listening and just doing what I can to contribute and tweak their worlds so they can actually get this sense of space that most people on the planet don't seem to know exists. And it's such a sadness to me because the birds know it, the plants know it, the animals know it, the trees know it, but we humanoids and humans, the two-leggeds on the planet, don't seem to know it. And so I'm literally tapping in with every one of these things I say, and every moment of this is kind of like giving you guys a private session to the best of my ability. Well, that's what I do in every class I do, because I realize that if we can get enough people who are aware of this giddy, tingly possibility, we truly can change the world, because why would you go back to the heaviness and the crap again if you didn't have to, And
wow.
So that's the invitation. And, I said the thing about the birds know. I mean, have you ever known a bird to wake up and go, oh, my God, I'm totally not going to sing to you today because I'm, like, having a bad feather day. So you're like, just else. You know what I mean? It's like the birds don't do that. Why do we? Why does it have to be so much of our lives is heavy? It doesn't have to be that way anymore. Let's friggin' change it. So that.
Wow. I want to kind of tune in because we're getting a question. A lot of people saying, Mike says, man, this feels incredible. I'm getting chills and tingles in my hands, in my feet, everywhere. Paula says, something left my body. I'm now totally objective and calm. I want to get more into this view of ourselves, because I know that's a lot of the deeper work is sort of like our self-view. How much of that for most people is our own, and how much of it is really coming from somewhere else?
Well, let's put it this way. The real simple tool is what's true makes you feel lighter, and a lie makes you feel heavier. And how much of the stuff that you get from other people about you makes you feel lighter, and how much makes you feel heavier? I'd say literally every part of your self-view that makes you feel heavier, number one, it's a lie. Number two, you bought it from somebody else. Because you know what's true for you. If somebody can simply ask you the question, you actually already know what's true for you, because it makes you feel lighter always. And I can ask you a question about something that occurred that you thought you had no idea about, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, that's the answer, just because you have far greater awareness. But it's partially because of that great and amazing awareness you have that you have this self-view of you that seems so much less than you'd like it to be, because you've been picking up that crap your whole life and thinking it was yours. What if it's not?
Yes. Wow. Can we do a clearing to begin to loosen and remove that?
Yes, please. Cool. So let's do. I'm like, yes. I'm so glad to be asked. I'm bordering, because I've got a couple of specific clearings that are, let's just say, they're mind-boggling and mind-blowing, that I'm not sure it might be a little too intense for the call. Let's put it that way. They are in some of the loops that are included in the package, but they might be a little much for the call. So I'm thinking I'll just keep it simple. So let's do this. So,
oh man, now you've got me curious and everyone else curious, but that's okay.
I was sitting there, I'm like, no, let them delve into that if they want to later on. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But let me give you, okay, so what if you no longer had to try to gravitate towards the lowest common denominator? See, what most people do, they're one of the things we've talked about in Access for a while, and it's given a lot of people a lot of freedom, is that there seem to be two different types of people on the planet, almost like two different species. You don't have to call them two different species, but they're definitely two different ways in which people function. And there's one group that is looking to change the world. They're looking to change their lives. They're always in judgment of themselves, and they think they're judgmental of others, even though they're not. and they're always looking to try to make the world a better place, and they always think that they're always doing something wrong. So those are the humanoids of the world, the ones who are looking for something different, who are always trying to make the world a better place. And those are the people, like, I don't know, like Da Vinci would be a great example of a humanoid. He was like, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And a lot of the people listening to your call would be more like the humanoids. And the humans, on the other hand, and once again, it's just a different way of functioning, but the humans, on the other hand, are sort of always in judgment of everyone and everything else, and they think they're right and everybody else is wrong, especially the humanoids. And, their point of view is, this is the way we do it because this is the way we've always done it. What's your problem? Shut up. Okay? And what's happened is the humanoids of the world, the people that have always looked for something different, have always made themselves inferior and invalidated themselves in the face of the people who have the most judgment. So everything you've all done to invalidate you in the face of the people who have the judgment, and everything you've done to make yourself wrong for not being able to get them to see your point of view a possibility, and for not being able to make them happy, will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes. Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyond. I love the spaciness that goes on in your head when we do this stuff, my friend.
Well, it's actually contagious because a lot of people are saying that they love it. So another person just said, "Oh, I love this work that you're doing. It's changed the way I look at things in life. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do in my life, though." And so, like, a lot of people are creating this open space. What key part of this paradise, I think, too, is living a life that at some level you feel like is in your path, and I think, or in your destiny, or is what you're here to do. Is that a myth, or is it just an energetic frequency that keeps us thinking that we don't know what we're here to do? I want to maybe touch on that a little bit and open up people to that new possibility.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you brought it up because basically this is where what's true makes you feel lighter and a lie makes you feel heavier. So there's a part of that awareness that is definitely not a myth, that is definitely true. You're here to do and be something that is greater than anything you've ever thought, anything you've ever considered, okay? And when I say that, I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your butt with that one, okay? Like, literally, you are here to do something that is far greater than you've been acknowledging, and part of the reason your life seems like not enough and like it's not working is because you've tried to believe that that's not actually true of you. Now, on the other hand, the options for what you're supposed to be able to do that this reality gives you are not enough, and that's where it starts to feel heavy. So on the one hand, you know you're destined for greatness, you know you are greatness, you know you're here to bring it to the world as a totally different possibility than this reality knows, and on the other hand, you think the only way you can bring it to the world is by doing something this reality already has within it. In other words, like, I'm going to be an amazing marketer, I'm going to be an amazing this or that. What if you're here to be an amazing changer of realities? So how many of you know that you're here with the job of awakening consciousness so that it can exist? How many of you have been hiding consciousness with every fiber of your body and being for the last 4 trillion years, waiting for the time when it could reawaken, and now's the time? Everything that doesn't allow you to know it, if it's true for you, and everything that doesn't allow you to be it if it's true for you, and everything that doesn't allow you to actually awaken it now if it's true for you, let's change it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys and beyonds. So everything, what is it you know that you've been pretending not to know or denying that you know? Everything that is, times a gazillion. Will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys and beyonds. What is it you've been pretending not to be or denying that you be? That if you'd allow yourself to be it, would change your life and your world and this reality. Everything that doesn't allow that, times a gazillion. Will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys and beyonds. And what is it you've been pretending that you can't receive, that you truly can now receive, if you'll allow yourself to be everything you truly be and stop hiding it from you and everyone else? Everything that is, times a gazillion. Will you destroy and create it, please?
Absolutely.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what is it you know from over 4 trillion years ago that you'd now be willing to bring into existence, bring into the now, bring to here, and allow 2013 to be your best year so far and just get greater from there? Everything that doesn't allow that, times a gazillion, we destroy and create it and let us change it together on 3.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow. I just felt like it was almost like a mist or something, like sort of like leave. It was almost kind of surreal. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That was fun.
Oh my gosh. Now, a lot of people are asking you for the weird stuff. It's sort of like open up a door. So now let me just tell you guys, I mean, Dr. Dain isn't going to do anything beyond what you're ready to do. So I just want you guys to be clear on that. Let me ask this. I mean, for people that are kind of been trying to open up their healing abilities. I know you do a tremendous amount of healing work and work on the body. What is it that keeps people stuck from really tapping into that healing ability that many of us, if not all of us, have at some level?
Well, I'd say a lot of things. I'd say, one, it's never been acknowledged as what it actually is and the capacity it actually is. And number 2, we've been entrained to a reality that doesn't work. In other words, it's kind of like, okay, so you asked, so what did you say? People ask for the weird stuff? Is that what you said?
Yeah, people want the weird stuff. It's like after you said weird, it's like we've got tons of people saying, I want the weird stuff, I want the weird stuff. So you got to do one weird thing.
Okay, hold on. I need to find the weird thing here because this particular weird thing was a bit of, okay, so you asked for it, right? I'm okay doing this?
I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Yes.
I like how you're like,
Yeah, kind of got scared there.
I'm not about that. Actually, no. I think we've covered some of the weird stuff. Because I don't know that this particular. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. So, what physical actualization? This will be less weird, but it'll still be in the same realm. What physical actualization of being the free radical of consciousness, kindness, generosity, and joy are you now, and possibility, are you now capable of generating, creating, and instituting? Everything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So what physical actualization of being the free radical of consciousness, kindness, generosity, joy, and possibility are you now capable of generating, creating, and instituting? Everything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion. Will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And
Diane is feeling. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I just said people are feeling a huge amount of energy shifting out, so we're getting a lot of people writing in. So, very, very cool stuff.
Cool. Awesome. So, what stupidity are we using? Now, stupidity is just anywhere we make ourselves unaware or unconscious. It brings up so much judgment when we say stupidity that it really gets a good clearing. So, because I'll say what stupidity you're using, and somebody will look at me like,
right.
Are you saying I'm stupid? I'm like, no, not at all. I'm saying that you've been functioning from unawareness, so let's change it. And they're like, okay, fine, that works. So, actually, you know what? Let me do the one that I just did. I'm sorry. I'm also right now. I'm going, okay, what's going to work best? What's going to contribute most to people, and where do we go to make this sort of the greatest possibility? So let's do that one more time. What physical actualization of being the free radical of consciousness, kindness, generosity, joy, and possibility are you now capable of generating, creating, and instituting? Everything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, can we destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you, Darius. I apologize. What were you saying or asking?
Well, healing ability, I think, was sort of the next thing is where people, so many people here are healers in their own right, and like there's a certain conscious perspective that is keeping people from that. And many times, I mean, they may hear somebody and say, well, they could do it, or, oh, they had this traumatic event and this happened and that opened up this ability. Whereas in reality, everybody has that at some level.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that? Just as I know you being a healer, not only of the energy systems of the mind and the consciousness, but also the body.
Absolutely. I would say yes. I think the difficulty is that people actually have it to such a degree that it's been used so dynamically that they don't realize it's even there. So, for example, part of your healing ability is the ability to, I think a lot of the people that are in the most pain, people who have fibromyalgia, a lot of times people who have back pain, a lot of times people who have different pains in their bodies, it's because they're actually a healer and have never acknowledged it. So they're going around taking that out of people, and their body's saying, do you see what you just did? You just healed that. And they're like, no, I'm stupid, I'm pathetic, I have no value. And so their body holds on to it because they have no way to dissipate it because they won't acknowledge they're a healer. So how many of you out there are actually healers either physically or healers of people's emotional problems or healers of abuse, so you find people who are abusive and you've never acknowledged it and because it's just something you are. So everywhere where you decided that you never wanted to have that ability again, every lifetime in which it seemed like it was just too intense, it was just too much, it was just too much to handle, and it got you in too much trouble, and nobody else wanted you to have it anyway, everything you did to cut it off so you can't now use it, everything that is where your talents and abilities and capacities have been used against you to harm your body, can we now destroy and uncreate it and untwist it and create a change for everyone listening, please, to have more space to be that healer they truly be?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow. I want to hear what people are feeling. I want to hear any questions that you guys have, or anything else that we can help you with, or what you're dealing with as we now sort of, as we've been an hour into this, like where are you at now? What's a bigger challenge that you're feeling? What is going on in your space? Because we care about you. We want to know. Anne wrote in, and I think this is a key piece, Dain. I mean, for a lot of people is like this feeling of lack of control. And I think, especially in this time, there is sort of this impending energy that a lot of people are perceiving where it's like that things are bigger than them and they can't effectuate change. And it really is almost like an anchor to all other types of energies, I would think, as well. For Anne in Georgia who's feeling that, I mean, what's your take on that energetically?
Well, the biggest thing that actually comes up is, Anne, who does that belong to? Is it actually yours, or is it your awareness that you're having of the anchors that other people live with as though they have to be reality? And when I say this, who does this belong to thing, that's not, this Pollyanna sort of thing where it's like, yes, and everything is good and nothing belongs to me, and it's from an awareness, not from an unawareness, not from trying to shove it out of your universe, but from the awareness that if you could imagine that energy, just go with that energy that you're talking about right now, and just ask, who does that belong to? Is it mine? Or actually, just ask, who does this belong to?
Okay.
And if it lightens up at all, it's not yours. Even if it lightens up a tiny bit, it's actually not yours. But is it possible, Anne, that you spent your entire life perceiving that and picking it up from people around you and thinking that it was yours, and that energy became part of what you considered life to be, because you were always one of these people who probably had greater awareness than other people around you, but could also pick up on this particular energy and thought it was yours. So everything you've done to buy that as yours from the time you were a little kid, all of you, whatever heaviness it is that you bought as yours, whatever you thought has to be reality that you know it doesn't have to be, and you keep wondering why you keep picking it up, will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
The Godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, pod, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
Wow. This is incredible. I mean, one of the things Wendy says, I'm feeling kind of sexy right now. I mean, I think she's opening up to, you know, the beautiful being that she's always been. And I want to talk about that in regards to relationships. I know we're just kind of jumping around, but I want to really kind of, when we talk about paradise, I mean, there's so many different things for so many different people. That part of relationships and being sexy and even being sexual as you open up to, like, your truth of, you know, how magnificent you are, how can that low emotion or vibration really lock people away from that part of themselves?
Well, that's exactly what it does. It locks people away from that higher vibrational part of themselves, if you will, that spacious part of them. But if you realize that that's where 99% of the people, and probably more, that are above 8 years old are functioning from on the planet right now, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm really, really aware of it. And if you're even looking from the place of, wow, this is heavy and I don't want it to be anymore, that's because you have an awareness that it doesn't have to be anymore. So it is what keeps you, what locks you out of. It's like it's kind of like this. It's like what we've done is we've entrained, and entrainment is just where things start vibrating similarly and functioning similarly. We've entrained to an electrical vibration of positive and negative, which is how electricity gets created. You have, you know, positive and negative, instead of the acoustic vibration that we are, the acoustic wave that we are. And when you start to step into and be the acoustic wave that you are, everything around you becomes more spacious. So if you were willing to perceive those energies, which is why I'm talking about them as a perception rather than something you are, if you were willing to have it as a perception rather than owning it, you'd be like, wow, you know, because what's the difference between I feel heavy and I perceive heaviness?
Well, you're taking it on when you say I feel heavy.
Yeah, and that's what most people are doing, which is why with Anne, you know, and all I do, Darius, I mean, when somebody asks a question like that, I look into their world. You know, I tap through you because they've got a connection to you. I tap into them, and I look, and I'm like, okay, what is this? I don't have a set point of view about what it is. I just look at what is this. And with Anne, it's like she's so aware of the heaviness around her. And Anne, I apologize. If you were on the phone, I'd be asking you a question. It's just that, you know, so I'm saying this about you, and I'm hoping it's, you know, bringing more lightness to your world, because what's true always will. But it's like she's so aware of that heaviness. It's like the other people you were talking about, that's what keeps you from that vibration of that lightness is your awareness of the heaviness. One of the things that I did, which was so cool to get to, one of the things in the package is this, you know, class called Welcome to Paradise, you know, and I created it for, you know, for you and for your listeners, for this package specifically, and I did it 3 days ago, literally, at a class we were having in Los Angeles, and what came out of it, and I didn't start the class with a fixed point of view, but this is exactly what we're talking about here right now, is that you have these capacities and you have these awarenesses. Like, for example, you have the awareness of the heaviness around you. If you allowed it to, if you had a different perspective on it, what it would do is rather than stick you, it would become this place where it was like, oh my gosh, I'm now aware of why my parents are the way they are. Wow. Rather than, oh, let me try to change it if they don't want to change it, you'd have the awareness they are the way they are because they are the way they are, and then you'd be like, can I change this? No. Okay. At least I can be an allowance of it. At least I can go, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. And then all of a sudden, you're no longer stuck to their heaviness. You've got your own lightness and your own sense of possibility.
Wow. You know, I'm feeling for a lot of people this so much is shifting and moving, and it's because these tools, when you apply them again and again, it's like they actually begin to unlock all of this new possibility in your life. One person wrote in, she said, I felt an amazing unblocking. She said, Monica, that last piece that Dain did, unblocking the healer, was very energizing to me. Thank you. When you put together, you know, I know you came back and been doing some incredible work now in 2012. At this later part, has the energy of the work you're doing shifted as sort of what you've been pulling out in this newer class different than maybe what some people have seen before, what they've experienced before? And if it is, why? Why is it changing, and why is it so important to keep up with that?
Well, it's definitely different, and I think a lot of people would notice it just, whether they've listened to anything else or not. It's like it goes to a greater depth and a greater breadth than has ever been possible before. And why is it changing? Because we're changing the world together. All of us who are making any choice for something greater, for more consciousness, we're literally creating the change that we have been begging for, asking for. And, it's interesting, Darius. I just realized as I was going to say this, that I realized that I think that's one of the reasons why so many people are so discouraged right now. So let's do, and you're like, so let me explain that, and then let's do a clearing on that. Because what if, guys, what if, I know so many of you listening know that you're here, even if it sounds crazy, that you're here to create a change in the world. I know this. I was in the same boat 12 or 13 years ago where I was sitting there, I was listening to people and reading books, and God, I wish we would have had telesummit series like this when I was there. But it was like, man, that would have been so friggin' cool. But I was sitting there and I was listening, and I knew I had something to contribute, but I also felt like the biggest pile of crap on the planet. And so what if you realized, what if part of what's been a huge part of what's been going on that's made you so frustrated and so thinking that you're not getting anywhere, what if it's because you didn't acknowledge that we are actually creating a change in the world? The change you came here to help create, not through any friggin' technique, but through your very being. So everything you've done to be disgruntled, to be depressed, to feel less than, to feel like it's not happening and it'll never happen and it's too late and it's not soon enough, and you're so frustrated and you feel like it's just not enough and not quick enough and all that, everything that is, and everywhere you haven't realized that we are changing the world exactly as you came here to do, and your part is a contribution, and every frustration that's given you, will you destroy and uncreate it, please?
Yes.
Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that doesn't allow you to know that you are a contribution to it, yes, you, will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that doesn't allow you all to have the fun and the joy. Okay, and when I said you are a contribution, I wasn't just talking to Darius. I was talking to every single one of you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I want to make that very clear. Whether you're listening to this live, replay, or whatever else, I'm talking to you because you're listening. Okay? And everything that doesn't allow you all to have the joy of participating in that change and creating that change and helping to direct the possibilities for this planet go to something greater, will you destroy and create it, please?
Yes.
Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Oh, baby, wow. And how much of that has been your source of frustration, depression, unhappiness, and less than, is that you didn't acknowledge that we're actually doing it, guys. We're actually getting together. We're actually doing it. It's actually happening. Everything that doesn't allow you to know it, and everything that doesn't allow you to find every tool that it's going to take to make it easy for you and you and joyful for you and allow you to totally express and be the difference you are and the consciousness you are and the awareness you are and the brilliance you are. Can we destroy and create it and together change it on three, contributing to each other, please?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, and men.
Wow. It's a very powerful thing when we realize that we actually are. It's like the energy builds and builds and builds instead of being torn down when we think we're not. I mean, what if everything you guys are doing right now is moving you in that path? You already are there. You already are on the way. You already are that embodiment happening right now of full expression, of full possibility, of your full life path, of full healing abilities, of full loving abilities, of full relational abilities, of full everything that you've always wanted. It's a very different place to operate from, yet it's true. It's true, just true. I want to talk, Dain, about what you're doing now, because it's some very different energy in some of the newer work, and I know you were very keen on bringing us some of the energy that you've been sharing with people through your work right now, because it's shifting and changing as we talked about. And tell me about the whole program that you have that is actually creating paradise here on earth now. And I want everyone to just imagine, what if it really was that simple? What if you were just one step away from living in that paradise now? And Dain, tell me about this and kind of why you think it's possible, because I agree with you, and how you kind of unlock and take people through that step by step.
Yeah, I will joyfully tell you about this, because this, you know, in putting the package together, you know, it's specifically for your listeners, and we talked about, you know, I talked to you about the class that I just did, the Welcome to Paradise class. And one of the, like I said, one of the things that came out of that is your awareness is one of your greatest capacities, and it's one of the ones you judge the most. So even when you're aware of the heaviness other people have, you could just have it as an awareness. You could just go, wow, mom and dad are this happy, and wow, if I can't change it, cool, what else can I choose? So this Welcome to Paradise class was literally, how do you be with all of the capacities you have and be grateful for them, and how do you go beyond judging you for having such a different awareness than everybody else has? And how do you actually get into step with everything else in this world that wants to contribute to you? And in addition, so that's an hour-plus class. I don't remember how long the class was, but seriously, there's also enough comedy in this one class that it's worth the price of the package. I mean, there's enough laughter in this one class to when you don't know what else to do and you are having a bad day, put that on and watch the darn thing, because it literally is one of the funniest things I've delivered to date. And I like to have a good time. You know, if I'm not laughing, I know something's wrong. Right. So this was definitely a class full of laughter. But also there's this hour-plus loop of processes that, let me give you one example of one of the processes, and then I'll continue on with what I was doing. But it's what stupidity are you using to avoid the extreme deviation from the matriculation of the maximization of human reality you are choosing? Everything that is Godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pot, puck, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So I know it made no sense in English, but I could break it down for you. But it's like, that's just one of the processes, and there are several that are a lot simpler and some that are even more complex. But it's really about, how do you have the unlocking that these dynamic and powerful tools of access can give you, so that you can actually get to this place where this world can be like a paradise for you. So the process is, you can actually listen while you sleep. You can listen while you drive. Well, maybe driving is the one place you might think about not listening. You know, you see how that works, but it should come with a warning label. You may not want to drive or operate heavy machinery, because they can kind of space you out, as you know. But also, here's another thing that happens with these processes that I have forgotten to tell people until now, but I do it for myself all the time. I'll literally have them on my iPhone playing on a really low volume. And I'll be in a business meeting or something, and I'll be in a business meeting with some high-powered people, you know, people who know people who know people, right? And I'll be sitting there, and within about 15 minutes, their eyes soften, and they come out of their fixed position, and they literally, like, they glaze over, and they're like, oh, hey, what were you saying? Oh, what else is possible here? And it literally starts changing the energy. So if you want to change the energy in your home, in your business, you can literally play these processes at a really low volume. Nobody has to know but you, but it literally changes the energy. It's kind of like having an energetic friend there that acknowledges you all the time. So that's another use for this.
Well, I want to talk about that going forward, and how to use some of those loops while people sleep and while they're in their day-to-day life, around their house, around their spouse, around their pets, around their job. I mean, it's almost like creating magic. But I want to tell people where it is, and then I want to ask you just a little bit about the class that this came from, and kind of what happened with people in that class. What were some of the breakthroughs? I think that's really relevant, because this is the first group here, I assume, Dain, that actually is going to get this in mass, which is pretty exciting, because I know the results from that class you had was pretty astounding as well. So we're literally exponentially taking it up a notch. But it's at uwealthrevolution.com/paradise. And it's a very fitting name, because this really is the intention and goal, is to bring you into your paradise that's here now. So UWealth Revolution Paradise, and I'll just spell paradise, Paradise, Paradise. Dain, tell me what happened at that class, because this is really the synthesis of that.
Yeah, it is. And I had people coming up to me after that class and went, oh my God, I didn't know it could be like this, to be here. And the key word was be here, because always before they had sort of been, it's almost, and what one lady came up and she said, she's like, you know what? It's weird, but I feel like it's like all this stuff that were my capacities, it felt like tangled spaghetti. I feel like it's all aligned now. I don't know how to say that other than I feel like you like I had all of my awareness was meeting my anger, was meeting my sadness, was all this stuff, and it was like this jumbled mess. And now it feels like it's all been straightened out. And I can have my awareness, and I can have a sense of being, and I can even be aware of the stuff that's ugly in other people's worlds and not care anymore and not have a point of view about it. And I said, not care. And she went, no, you know what? That's incorrect. I spoke incorrectly. She said, I actually have total caring, but I don't have any significance on it. So some of the people around me, they're really in trauma and drama, and I can just be there caring for them without thinking that I've got to twist myself into a knot to be around them or do something about it if they don't want to change it. And I was like, wow.
You know, and that is a huge piece, because a lot of people are living a life and holding on energy. Some of you are working on energy that's not even yours. And it's like you literally, from the time you came into this planet, at least at some point, those early years, decided to take this on, and it's not yours. And it's literally been keeping you from the amazing life that you were born to live and the playground that this paradise world really has to offer. Dain, really quick, you also have something here that I always have questions about this. I think it's one of the most astounding things that you do, and it's the energetic synthesis of being. You're including that. I don't think you did that last time or any time. Tell me about the energetic synthesis of being and what it is, where it can take us, and what it means for people here.
Well, it really is. It really is about becoming the energy and the space and the consciousness you are. And for so many people, that's so undefinable when you say it in words, because what they really need is an experience of it energetically. And somehow, and I don't know how, you know, I had the founder of Access come into my office over 12 years ago and ask for a session, and this energy came through that I now call this energetic synthesis of being, that literally he was coming to me and he was dying, and I didn't know this, but he just wanted to get out of pain. And he said, after this session, he said, you jerk, now I'm going to live, you know, because he wanted to get out. And I went, wow, in 1 hour, I was able to contribute an energy to him in his life that changed that. Well, this class is a 3-hour class, and it was a kick-ass class, I got to say. In other words, what happens is, and when I say that, I don't say that from the ego of, wow, I was so cool. It's more like the energy that the people in class allowed to come through was so amazing. And it's really this thing where, you know, I said there's so few role models of what it's like to be, but there's an acoustic wave that we are. And what I do is I tap into this acoustic wave that connects us all. And in a sense, it's kind of like whisper this energy into your cells, whisper it into your life, into your body, into your future, and into your present in such a way that it's like, oh, this is an energy that can be too, an energy of peace, an energy of space. But what it does is it speaks to you where you are every single time you watch it, because that's the way consciousness is. It's not linear. It's not I watch it once and I get this out of it and that's it. This speaks to you wherever you are, because it will always increase your possibilities. And this is a video where you can watch me working on people on the table, and if you're willing to, you close your eyes and you can get the same energy that they're getting, that they got when I worked on them. You can get it when you watch. And so it's just a really cool way of experiencing being and being opened up to the spaces of being that are available that, you know, the plants and the animals know, but we humanoids haven't gotten yet.
Well, and when you do that energetic synthesis, since it's so different, I mean, what's happening when you do it? Because it's not access clearing. I mean, it's something very different. And what's exciting is people can actually do it with the person on that in that program. What's happening? What's moving around?
Well, what's moving is, it's like, one thing that I've learned is that we tend to, the thing that gets the most change for us is when we get inspired. You know, it's like knowing that you should have something doesn't do anything, but seeing somebody else that has something that you'd like, you're like, oh, I'll have that now. And so it's really this, it's an energetic inspiration, if you will. And like one lady that gets on the table in this particular, there's one young kid who gets on the table, there's one really good-looking young guy gets on the table and just lets his body receive all this energy, and you look and you go, oh my gosh, what would it be like if my body could receive more energy too? And what I'm tapping into is that knowing and that awareness that we all are, and it becomes the inspiration for something different that's possible. And there's another, there's another similar but different class that's offered also, that's part of the package, which is this Being You Changing the World class, which is a same but different. It's a different energy. It's similar, but it's also opening you up to what capacities do you have that have been lying latent in your world that if you opened up to them would allow us to change our whole planet. What if you were the missing element in creating the change that is possible to be created on this planet? And what if it's not about judging you? What if it's about recognizing that? And actually, in this class, I invite you to that. I invite you to be that. I invite you to experience it and actually get to choose it.
Wow. Well, this isn't all because, we're just barely through this, and all of that is incredible, and I think the weird part is the actual energetic synthesis of being, although not in a derogatory way, but just to imagine being able to pull in the energy that some of these people experience on that and actually feel energy coming into your body way beyond what we did on this call. To me, that is just weird in the sense of it's beyond what we may be used to. I think that is awesome. Now, this is at uwealthrevolution.com/paradise, PARADISE. And item 5 that you have, Dr. Dain, is pretty cool because I know a lot of people want to create a different life, but it's not just different being like maybe another form of misery. It's actually going beyond living your purpose, ending like the limited thinking or the quote-unquote stupidity that keeps us from really being what we are and unlocking our true happiness and taking the time now to live our best life and not wait. And you actually, taking all of those 4 elements, you actually created these loops that people listen to while they sleep. So all they have to do is listen and let this energy be unlocked while they sleep. Is that right?
Yeah, and this, I got to tell you, Darius, this is another thing that I've never done and never put together as a group before. And I've got to tell you, literally, these are 4 of the most dynamic sets of processes, and they're also 4 of the most recent sets of processes that I have ever created. And literally, I sat in my recording studio, which is a closet, but don't tell anyone, in my recording studio. And literally,
I've got one of those.
me sweating in my closet with, so it's soundproof, but boy is it hot. And and I sat there and I was like, you know what is it people actually require on this level? Not just the basic stuff, that I can give people on in a 5-minute conversation or an hour-long talk, but what is it that if people were really to delve into it, what processing would change them the most? And putting these 4 together literally is one of the most dynamic power punches of processing I've ever seen. I listen to these things, literally, it sounds so funny. I listen to my own stuff because it keeps changing my life, even where I am, where I'm pretty darn happy and things go pretty darn well most of the time, and life is kind of really friggin' cool. At the same time, these make it so it keeps getting better. And I do that same thing I was talking about. These are the ones that I have on that loop. A lot of times I'll have these 4 on that loop where I'm just have them in my back pocket when I'm around and when I just need sort of an energetic boost. And these literally start changing. They go back and change what wasn't changeable before, whether it's from family, whether it's from someone or something else. It literally goes back and changes it. So I'm excited about this. I'm so excited about this package. It's so funny because, certain times you put together a package and you're like, oh, man, people are just going to have their butts kicked into a whole new world with this in a really cool way.
Well, I've got a question from Susan, and she's talking about really living her life on on her own terms. I assume like these 4 processes would really help someone like Susan or anyone else, you know, if Ron's kind of asking a similar question, to really live life in their own terms and in essence create their own amazing paradise. Like if, yeah, I'm not going to say more, but this is a big piece of that, I would assume, correct, Dr. Dain?
Yes, it is, and it really is, because what it does is what limits us the most, and we're not even aware of it because nobody's ever told us, is basically the energies that we allow to stick us. You know, it's like you wake up in the morning and you're heavy and unhappy. Well, that's an energy. And what these processes do in a way nothing I've ever seen does is change those energies. And verbally, I'll address them to very specific things that are things that I've found in working with people that limit them. So you get the benefit of me having worked with thousands of people because I see what limits the majority, and then also put my own little twist on it. So we literally are addressing specific things that limit people from being able to have and be the space of possibility they know they should be. So when you talk about creating your life, this is actually really one of the, for me at least, it's been one of the most dynamic ways of getting there and one of the easiest. So it's, you know, I'm not going to say it's magic, but it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? It's like, really does create those possibilities. And then, you know, you talked about weird, Darius. The last thing before we get to the bonuses, you want to talk about weird. I decided what I would do for this one is a live call for everybody who buys the package, and it's a live thing called an energetic synthesis of communion. And one of the things that people started noticing, you know, at about an hour in or however long, was that, my gosh, you know, I wasn't feeling anything at first, but now I feel like my head is blown off and I'm feeling so spacey. Well, what energetic synthesis of communion is this, it literally is a way of taking the threads of possibility you know are available, connecting them with the threads of possibility everybody else on the phone knows is available, and connecting those with the threads of possibility that the earth and the plants and the animals and the trees and the universe know are possible, to create a place where you no longer feel separate from the consciousness of the world, where you feel connected and invited to know you're part of it, invited to be part of it, and inspired to actually choose beyond what you didn't think was possible.
Wow. Wow. Now, that's also included, and that's going to be happening in January of 2013. So one of the things is for people like wanting to get the year off right, that's included there. Let me tell people again, it's at uwealthrevolution.com/paradise, PARADISE. And then, Dain, you've got some very cool stuff going on, bonuses actually, a lot of bonuses and resources. Tell me about the first one. Looks like you have a very special healing, changing, and enjoying your body. And I want to ask, like, why do we need to enjoy our body? I mean, that sounds pretty cool, but I mean, like, what's important about all that?
Because it's actually the one element that will always be with you that is most ignored. You know, we think we sort of have this idea that we need to become spiritually enlightened and kick our bodies to the curb. Enjoying your body is one of the greatest contributions to actually enjoying your life and to creating this paradise where you're actually living life on your terms. Like, imagine having your body as your best friend rather than your enemy. You know, imagine having it as something that you knew was there contributing to you, truly like a really good friend, because your body we've just learned to not treat them that way and to be in judgment of them. And what this class does, it's an over 2-hour class that I gave to a group of brand new people, and it literally addresses so many of the places where people have been in judgment of their body. And one of the things you spoke about earlier, Darius, where people are actually healers, we go through a specific process in that particular call, which is one of the reasons I wanted to include it, that was literally about unlocking where you've had empathic abilities or healing abilities and cut them off so you can actually have ease with them now. And also going into a process for people who have OCD and undoing what keeps them trapped in that, because it's actually a capacity, not a disability.
Wow. I want to say that again. So that is all included there. Wow, there's a ton here. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to tell you it's at uwealthrevolution.com/paradise. That is actually included. And then you also have a taster from the DVD CD Your Delicious Body with you and Alana Platt. Tell me about that, because that is also pretty cool.
Yeah, this thing was so much fun to make. Okay, this beautiful woman, Alana Pratt, she got in touch with Katerina, my communications coordinator, and said, hey, I'd like to interview Dain. Well, we did this interview, and it was so dynamic, and it was over the phone. And I went, oh, my gosh, this woman will go to depths that very few people will with a total vulnerability. Well, and she came along and did some access, and at one point we went, hey, let's create this product together that's actually about you enjoying your delicious body. So it's actually a video of her interviewing me on some very direct topics about bodies, about sexuality, about healing, and about how you can actually enjoy being with your body and enjoy being the sexual you, if you will.
Right.
But it's not, it's not a hardcore sort of sexual idea, but other than it's more like if you had different choices and different possibilities and could come out of judgment of you, what else would be possible? So that's actually her interviewing me. And if you just get this thing for the bonus of watching this beautiful woman on camera, it's worth it. It's like, I mean, she's just hot. She's beautiful. And she's got this caring nature that makes you realize, wow, you know what? Maybe it's possible to be caring and out there and me and have a good time doing it. So I wanted to put the bonus because it was just such a cool thing that I wanted people to have some access to it.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's a very key fitting piece to this because, we talk about paradise. It's not just, if some people come on and, well, we're going to show you how to become wealthy. We're going to show you how to have a great relationship. We're going to show you how to love yourself. But paradise is a lot more than just all of that. It's a bigger mission. It's a bigger piece, a bigger connection to everything that you are, everything that you will be, and to the universe and to your body and to living the life that you were born to live and having the joy to make it meaningful and impactful and changing the world. So this is a really key part of all of this whole breadth and depth of coverage. So it's at uwealthrevolution.com/paradise. And there's a lot of free resources here as well. I'll let people take a look at that as well. There's 3 things that people get. They get some pretty cool things, including the guide to using the tools, being you and changing the world, an MP3 audio, the introduction in the first chapter, the introduction in the first chapter, and then the clearing statement. Dain, really quick, I mean, who is this for? Who is it not for?
I'd say it's not for anybody who really wants to stay wherever they are. Somebody who would rather judge that they can't do it, or for anybody who is it for? It's for anybody who knows there's more possible, who maybe has tried a lot of things and not yet been able to create it, and it's also for the dreamers and the seekers of the world, the people who know that there's a different reality possible to be created, the people who have been looking for it. Maybe they're depressed, maybe they're in judgment of themselves, maybe they're really happy and just know there's more. It's basically for the people that know there's more, not the people that want to sit on their butt and believe that there isn't any more available and just, want to drink a beer and watch more footy, which is fine. You can do that too. But if you also know that there's more available, this thing is for you. It's not for the faint of heart.
Wow.
It's not for the people that are looking to, it's more for the courageous souls of the world that are looking for some dynamic change and actually maybe have just been never spoken to on the level or invited to on the level to acknowledge that courage that they have to actually be able to create it.
Well, Lisa says, Dain, I will get your program. It speaks to all of me. Fantastic. And I think that's really speaking to all of you is really what Dain does really well. We have a lot of people that come on and they have certain aspects, but this really is the totality of you, because you are that amazing and powerful that if we don't address how amazing you are in all those areas, we're actually limiting you, and that's the last thing we want to do. Sherry just wrote in, and she says, I have a severe case of OCD. Can you repeat what you said about helping it and explain to me how you can help it? I am literally exhausted because of this. Please help. And again, Sherry, I'm going to tell everyone where this is if you're curious, or this is, you want to look deeper into that section. If you mention that, it's at uwealthrevolution.com/paradise, Paradise. So Dr. Dain, about the OCD, repeat what you said and maybe a little bit more that we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I found and that we found in Access is that OCD is actually a capacity that people have. And actually a capacity to pick up on the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and the sexual points of view of people between 8 and 8,000 square miles. And there's actually a process that we've developed for people who have OCD and are affected by it, that has created a great change for a large number of people, and so it could potentially create a change if this is something that you experience or suffer from.
Wow. And that idea of, I think that was really powerful for people was that it's not a limitation, it's actually something else, like a perception, or what was the word you used?
That it's actually, their perception and their awareness, it's actually a capacity rather than a disability. And this is one of the biggest things that I've found in working with people with everything from, physical diseases, heart disease or fibromyalgia, AIDS, cancer, to depression, insomnia, and those sorts of things. They actually have capacities that no one else has acknowledged because they've been looking at the person as wrong. And my point of view is, would an infinite being choose this? And if not, then how can we create it? How can we give you an awareness of the capacity so you can stop judging it and give you tools to use to live with it so that it can actually make your life better, which is what it was designed to do. You just don't remember it anymore.
Right. Wow. All right, I want to get a few questions. I know we've gone super long with Dr. Dain, but now they're just flooding in. Let's see. Okay, Lisa's mad because she's not mad. I think she said she said that I censor her comment. Okay, Lisa, I won't censor your comment. She said, Dr. Dain, you're hot. So there you go, Dr. Dain.
Thank you, Lisa.
She said. Okay, so I'll keep going. I know things get a little crazy whenever we get together here, so I try to but I shouldn't. Okay, so let's see. We've got another person says. Shelley says, I have fibromyalgia, and I think I have found an inner healer. I'm in conflict since I need healing myself. How do I come to terms with healing and being a healer? And that's a really key point. It's like, does a healer need to be completely healed themselves?
I don't know if anyone ever becomes completely healed themselves. It's like I'm still working, and so not necessarily. So, but in order to make it easy on you, it's like if you can acknowledge your healing capacities, and if you can realize that there may have been some time in the past where somebody wanted to basically get you to stop being that capacity, because there's lots of people in the world that want to control, and so this is a little more in depth than I can really get right now, unfortunately. The process is something, there's part of it that I think is, I don't remember specifically, but there's part of it that I think is on that audio program. And I got to say, fibromyalgia is one of the things that, fibromyalgia, cancer, MS, HIV are some of the things that we've only had about a 50% success rate with, because it's such an endemic choice that people make. So but one thing that may help is acknowledging that maybe in the past you had so much ability that you went, I can't handle this anymore. And wherever you had so much ability, you decided you couldn't handle it anymore, or were told you couldn't handle it anymore, or were implanted and explanted to believe that you couldn't handle it anymore. Will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So that's sort of my really short snippet version that I'm hoping helps somewhat. But the other thing for you, as I look into your world, the person that asked the question, is was there someone in particular that you're really vested in healing or making feel better, where you're literally would do anything it took either to keep them alive or to keep them out of pain or to keep them happy? If there is, would you be willing to look at that, and would you be willing to ask yourself this question? Okay, here's a process that may start working for fibromyalgia, and I'm going to say it, and I'm only doing it because the question was asked. Otherwise, it would be a little more in-depth than I'd want to go. But I'll give you this process at least, which is, what stupidity am I using? Remember, stupidity is only where you have awareness that you're not using. What stupidity am I using to create the invention, the artificial intensity, and the demons of environmental sensitivity am I choosing? Everything that is, times a gazillion. Will you destroy and then create it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and mounts. And I know that was a lot of words. Once again, I'm only doing it because Darius asked, because I wanted to be able to try to give you something that if you run it on yourself, if you say those exact words I said, and do it, if I were you, I'd do it about 50 to 100 times a day for the next few weeks and see how it is. If not, there's other stuff required. Unfortunately, it's can be something where there's more required rather than that. Only I'm hoping this will knock some of the difficulty out of the situation for you. And even if it doesn't heal it, let you see what you can do that will allow it to heal.
Right. Well, thank you for that. Very, very powerful. And I'm going to just get any other questions. I know we've gone super long. Again, if you want to go deeper into this work, you can go to uwealthrevolution.com/paradise, PARADISE. A lot of people asking a ton of questions. One person said, Alessandra said, thank you so much during this webcast. Dain, you've brought sunshine, laughter, happiness, and change into my life. I am totally peaceful. Thank you. I finally have no more fear to go into the world and be totally me, or be the total me. And that happened on this webcast, so that is awesome. I am so happy, Alejandra. Yes.
Yay.
Any other comments or any last things for the group here? Everyone loves you. I mean, we all appreciate you so much, and just to get comments like that, to see people opening up from just what we did here, I can't imagine when they go deeper what it will be like.
Yeah, and that truly is the gift, receiving comments like that, and so thank you, and thank you for that acknowledgement. And you know what, truly, what if you are here to create consciousness on this planet? And what if consciousness on this planet doesn't look anything like you thought it would? And what if it hasn't ever been able to exist before without getting swallowed up by polarity? And what if you're here to help create it? And what if the key to changing every one of the difficulties in your life and in your body is not only acknowledging that about you and being willing to step into it no matter how weird it is, remembering that the original meaning of weird is of spirit, fate, or destiny. So being able to and willing to step into it no matter how weird it is, but also then having the tools of consciousness to use to live your life from. And they're a totally different set of tools than what you've been handed by this reality, and then what you've been handed by people who have fixed points of view, and then what you've been handed from people who want you to follow them. It's totally different than the people who want to create followers in the world. This is about creating leaders, and it's about creating us as leaders. And that's what these tools are designed to do. And please, if you get nothing else out of today, and I'm hoping you've gotten a heck of a lot out of today, notice the difference in energy from you from the beginning till now. That's just one acknowledgement of what can happen in this short amount of time when you step into being more of you and get acknowledged as more of you. But if you actually acknowledge it, and actually make the demand in your own world, you know what? I'm going to live and I'm going to become the leader of consciousness in my own life. And that doesn't mean anything except you know what's true for you. And as you do, what if that's actually the key to changing every one of these situations in your life that you wanted to change? And the last thing I'd like to say is, what if you truly being you are the gift and the change this world requires?
Yes. Wow. Dr. Dain, thank you so much for being here, for sharing, and as always, for bringing like the best of the best, coolest stuff to the table and just totally shifting our life. I know we're going to probably have you back for questions, and we're going to do more cool stuff. It's just the beginning, but wow, what a session. And what I get different about what we did here was it's so total, it's sort of like a totality of unlocking everybody's truth here in all aspects of their life, and that really is, to me, that paradise. So I want to thank you, and just from behalf of everybody, what an incredible call.
Darius, thank you, my friend, and I love the fact that we can go deep thanks to you and the people that are, your listeners. I mean, what a gift. Thank you all, and I'm honored to be here and look forward to what else is possible. Thank you.
Yes.